Hello, hello, hello. Thought I'd jump on and say hi to everybody and see how everybody's doing. Had a migraine for the last 2 days. I haven't really been around all that much, but still thought I'd pop on and say hey and see how everybody's doing. Hope you all are having a good day. I am bored out of my mind. Cannot wait for Dylan to get home from school and Brian to get home from work. He normally works third shift, but they're moving him to second shift. But the guy that runs his machine at the shop on first shift was on vacation this week. And the only other person that knows how to run that machine is Brian. So he went from third to first, and then next week, he'll go to second, his normal shift that he'll be on permanently. But I was bored, so I thought I'd hop on and say hey. See, I got one person in here, but I'm kind of like talking to myself. But oh well. If you can see up here in this white picture frame, very bottom picture there, there's my mama that passed. That was a little memorial frame I made of my family. And of course, this one is my sister, her husband, and my nephew. My nephew, the one in the green striped shirt, he's the one that just got married, and he's having the baby, and they're having a little girl. I can't wait. I'll have a great niece here in a couple of months. I'm so excited. And my sister, when I was pregnant with my son, because she wanted a girl so bad, it wasn't funny. But even when I went to my ultrasound, we blatantly seen Dylan was a boy. I had went into premature labor, and we were in the ER where the nurse come in. I said, "Oh, she's got a good heartbeat." Without even thinking, my sister's like, "Did you hear that? Did you hear it? It's the girl, it's the girl." I said, "Leila, we went to the ultrasound. He spread white eagle. You seen the turtle. He's not a girl." And the nurse is like, "Oh, honey," she goes, "I didn't know what she was having." She goes, "I just said that because of the heartbeat rate." She goes, usually the higher the heartbeat, it's usually a girl, not a boy." So Leila was all freaking out. "Oh, yeah, she's having a girl." But I didn't. Now she's getting her little girl. And she has went and bought that baby everything under the sun. I'm like, "Leila, you need to leave stuff for other people to buy the baby too." She's going crazy. Whoops. So, like I said, I was just bored. Thought I'd hop on and say hi to everybody. See how everybody's doing today. I guess if nobody comes in here in the next few minutes, I'll go ahead and shut this live stream down. Like I said, I just basically wanted to pop on and say, hey, I'm still alive. I'm still around. Had a migraine for a few days. I can't get rid of it. I'm tired of laying in a dark room with no noise, which was probably my biggest mistake. So I come out, turned the stereo on, started cleaning a little bit earlier, and now it's like my head is pounding again. But Brian will be home here from work soon, and Dylan from school. We'll see how that goes. But so how is everybody's day? Is there somebody in here with me? It shows I have one in here. Not sure who you are, but hi. You can always say hi. Just let me know you're in here. This is a no makeup, hair not done, migraine looking day. Emily, I don't know who you are, but no, I can't reach my tongue to my chin. Can you? Wow, so the only person I've had come in is a troll. Imagine that. I figured I'd probably get a lot of them, but oh well. Is there anybody out there? I know I'm the crazy lady. Hello, hello, hello. This is what boredom looks like. I am so bored. It's like, I hate days like this. I got up and did a few things, even though I still have a migraine. Not much, King Taco, just bored. Sitting here waiting for Brian to get home from work. Hi, Rabbit, you finally made it into one. And Dylan to get home from school, so I thought I would hop on and chit chat and see how everybody was doing today. Yeah, I've had a migraine for the last couple of days. I haven't had one this bad in a long time. I used to get them really bad when I was a kid. When I was a kid and I get them, I had to lock myself away in a dark room. I couldn't have any noise or nothing on. And they wouldn't go away until I threw up. And usually after I threw up, then they would get better. But luckily this one ain't that debilitating like they used to be when I was a kid. Oh, well, I hope you had a fun venture wherever you went, King Taco. Oh, Rabbit, I've took ibuprofen. I have a prescription for 800 milligram ibuprofen because I refuse to take pain pills. And so he's like, will you at least take ibuprofen? I'm like, yeah. So he wrote me a prescription, which I don't even take them all the time like I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to take one 4 times a day, but I don't. I only take it when I absolutely have to have them. I've took some of those. I've tried laying down. Then, hi, Charlene. It's just been massive headache day. I've tried everything. Finally, I was like, might as well just get up and get going. Yeah, Robin. My neurologist, he wanted to put me back because I took myself off of Percocet. I was on Perc 10s, 1 to 2, 4 times a day. And I was like a walking zombie. I'm like, look, I can't take that. I'm not taking the pain pills no more. We've got to figure something out because I'm not doing this. Then he's like, well, will you at least take ibuprofen? I'm like, yeah, I'll take ibuprofen. So he wrote me that prescription. And then, like I said, I'm supposed to take them 1 to 2, 4 times a day. But I don't. I only take them when I absolutely, absolutely have to have one. And I get yelled at when I go to the neurologist for it, too. He's like, that's what I wrote the prescription for, is to help you. You should take it. I'm like, I take it when I think I need it. Oh, rabbit, I can't drink coffee. I'm allergic to to coffee bean. I tried drinking coffee one time and I looked like the damn exorcist. And I was so sick. My mom was sort of like, you're going to the doctor. I don't care. And she took me in here, found out I was allergic to the coffee bean. I was having an allergic reaction to it. So I live on Mountain Dew. Most people drink coffee. I drink Mountain Dew. This is my coffee. Yeah. Little Miss Attitude's laying over there in her window watching everything going on in the neighborhood. I always laugh and tell her that she's on the neighborhood watch because she lays up there on the back of my couch and just looks out my window in the living room and watches everything that goes on. But I loves my Bell Bells. That's Mommy's little girl, huh, Bell Bells? She's so spoiled. I have drunk Mountain Dew for years. When I was a little girl, I couldn't drink dark colored pops. If I did, I instantly got a urinary tract infection. No, I have a little miniature chihuahua. Her name's Belle Belle. She's black. She's laying up on the back of my black couch looking out the window. She's my little sweetheart, though. She's not yippy like most. If she barks, you know there's something wrong to go look, because Belle don't bark. Hurry back, King Taco. I was sitting here waiting on everybody. Normally, when I was picking Dylan up from school, about this time, I would sit in the parking lot waiting for Dylan to get his bus to come in. But since Brian's working first this week, and we only have the truck, my dad's taking him and picking him up for me this week. And then next week, when Brian goes on first shift, Dad will go back to, well, first shift, my dad will have to take him and pick him up for me. And then second shift, I'll take him in the mornings, which Brian goes back to second. Brian goes to second next week, so I'll take him in the mornings. And then Dad will pick him up and bring him home to me. I would be lost without my father. My dad does so much for me. He really does. And to be 76 years old, you wouldn't tell that man was that old by the way he gets up. And sometimes I'm like, Dad, where's all your energy coming from? Because he is constantly go, 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 go. No, Rabbit. I had to pull Dylan out of our local school systems because he was being bullied so bad, and he was actually, I had to have him hospitalized 6 times for trying to commit suicide while going to Galleon City schools. Well, there's an alternative school. It's called the Tomorrow Center, but it's like a half an hour away from our house. Well, they will bus the kids from our local high school there, and then they drop them back off at our local high school. So usually when I go live, and when I was going live, was at when I was sitting there waiting for Dylan's bus to come so I could pick him up from school. But since being moved to the Tomorrow Center, I mean, this child has made a complete 180. Yeah, it is, but I don't know. I'm overprotective, I guess. Especially when he was little. Everyone was like, "Hi, Three Amigos podcast." It was like, Shauna, you're too overprotective of that child. Because my child did not walk out of this house without me knowing where he was going, with the time that he needed to be home. And if he was walking to a friend's house or riding his bike or something, he was to call me when he got there and call me before he left that house. I constantly knew where my kid was all the time. I wasn't one. I figured it was you, Reaper Man. But and I'm sorry that you're going through what you're going through. I mean, what he did to you was wrong. Really wrong. Brian, my old man. Well, there's Belle Belle. That's my little girl. Or decided it's Levin's time. Brian was pissed, and I mean, he had me put it out on Twitter, which I did, that he called Isaac out. He told him to let him know where and when, and he would meet him. Brian is an ex-boxer, 3 times Golden Glove champion, plus he's got a background in judo. And he's like, that fat fuck would never stand a chance against me. And he was pissed when I told him what all went down. Oh yeah, I tweeted it out because I know, I think I have him blocked on Facebook, but I don't think he's blocked on my Twitter. And plus, I know there's people on my Twitter that's friends with Isaac, so I know he would get the message. So that's why I did it on Twitter. But Brian was pissed. He was ready to go. I was like, well, he's not that far from us over in Pennsylvania. And he told me, he said, you message that fat fuck. Find a way to get a message to him. I'll meet him anytime, anywhere he wants. That's one thing I don't stand for. I cannot stand a bully. And I guess that's one of the reasons I can't stand Isaac so bad. Is I hate a damn bully. You know, I took on the whole Gallion City school systems here in town. My son was being bullied. I cannot stand a bully. I have a Facebook page that is for parents and students of Gallion City schools against bullying. And even though I moved Dylan from Gallion City schools to the Tomorrow Center where he goes now, I still have that page up. That page is still active. There's still parents and students that comment on that page because they need an outlet. They have nowhere else to go. And I wasn't going to take that away from them. At least they have a safe place that they can come and say, hey, this is going on, this, and this. And we started a WAG group, which was a bunch of us. Hi, Solid Green. To, give them a place to go. And then we had these little things printed up, and that was a paw print because Galleon is Galleon Tigers, so we had the paw print. And we passed them out to different businesses and stuff. I went before our city council and everything and got the okay to do all this and to set up this group for these kids that are being bullied. And if they see that sticker with the paw print on the door of a business, they know that that is a safe haven, that if they are being bullied or somebody's trying to do something to them, they can go into that business and then they can stay there until, oh, hi, rotten potatoes, until, either someone in the business can call for their parents or until there is a safe avenue for these kids to leave. Because bullying is so damn bad here in Galleon. I mean, one of Dylan's best friends, which I love Isaac to death, but he probably wouldn't be here today. Well, I have a little 2-bedroom house. It's all one floor. Because after I got sick with the Guillain-Barré and was paralyzed, I can't do steps real well. And I pay $500 for this house a month, plus my utilities. But the last suicidal attempt before I moved, I hate these cigars. They go out so damn easy. Before I moved Dylan from the homeschool here in Galleon, Isaac and him were actually tardy that day going to school because Dylan had told Isaac that his plan was to hang himself at school where I couldn't stop him. And when they signed in tardy and they signed in the office. My son wrote beside his name, "I want to kill myself." And nobody in that damn office noticed it until Isaac was afraid of what Dylan was going to do and walked back down to the office and pointed it out to them. And there is a on-site police officer that in Galleon City Schools, because the bullying is so bad, and not the officer, not none of the people that worked in that office noticed that my son wrote that beside his name. Really? And by the time I got there, they had already called community counseling to come evaluate Dylan. And I'm sitting in, trying to keep my cool, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to the counselor. And I just looked at her and I said, "Why is nobody in the school trying to help my child? Why are you guys not doing anything to help this child?" Exactly the same tone I said it in. And luckily for me, Dr. Fox from community counseling had walked in when I was asking her, and he was standing outside the office and hadn't said that he was there yet. And that counselor looked at me and said, "Miss Bates, you need to settle down or we will have you removed from this office. I will call the police in here to remove you." And about that time, Dr. Fox stepped around the corner. He said, "Why are you threatening to remove this mother? She's not yelling at you." She said, "Nothing remotely wrong from what I can see, so why are you going after the mother?" And that lady didn't know what to say back to him. Well, of course, we had to take Dylan up to the hospital, have him screened. Well, they ended up putting him in a local hospital for 3 days psych eval. And when Dylan got out, because Isaac's the little kid that went back down, yes, that's Belle. She's my ornery butt. Yeah, I'm the ornery butt. But the little boy that went back down to the office and pointed out to him, Isaac, his sister. Rabbit, he just turned 18 in August. Now, from 3rd grade to 9th grade, I have dealt with being in the schools just about every other day over the bullying situation. And it was ridiculous. I mean, 6 years and not a damn thing was ever done. I asked to have meetings with the parents of the other kids. Never happened. And the one time that my child went to fight back, he was told, because a teacher come out of the room, that if he hit that kid, he was the one that was going to be in trouble, even though Dylan had marks on him from where the other kid had hit him, and not a damn thing happened to the other child. In the Tomorrow Center, where he goes now, they are awesome. I mean, my child was a freshman in high school. He could not count money at the time when I transferred him down there. He barely knew his basic math. And for him to be caught up to where he needs to be finally to graduate this year, his senior year, that he can graduate. Because if the road he was going on here in Galleon, he would not have graduated. He wouldn't have. But Miss Susie, the lady that runs it, she used to work in the child prisons. And it's an alternative school, and a lot of the kids that go there are kids, that have got into some trouble. But, I mean, when we did our walkthrough, there was kids in there with green hair, purple hair, blue hair. She don't care what they wore, and she's like, she seen me looking around at the kids, she goes, "I'm going to tell you right now," she goes, "that purple hair don't bother me." Dylan is ADHD, and then when he was 3.5 years old, the only really guy he knew as his dad, which really wasn't his dad, but he was in his life from the time he was 2.5 till he was 12, was helping my nephew practice because Justin was going to be pitching that night in the baseball game because Justin played baseball. And He overthrew Leo, and the ball hit Dylan in the side of the head. And Dylan was sitting on my dad's trailer that he hauled his lawnmower with. And all of a sudden, Dylan started seizing. So I grabbed Dylan up, rushed him, because my mom and dad only live like 5 blocks away from the hospital. Rushed him into Galleon ER. They couldn't get him to quit seizing here. They called Children's. He had to be life flighted down to Children's. And because he was seizing for so long, he is developmentally slower than most people his age should be. And Dylan was picked on because he was in the special classes for kids that are slower. And it seemed to be okay that, Galleon had no problem with these. I mean, the one kid beat the hell out of my kid every day. Oh, well, that's how he learns to make friends, was what I was told the one time when I went in there. I was like, oh, no, no, no. He's going to hit my kid. I'm going to tell him he has my permission to hit him back. That's how he's going to make friends back with him. Oh, no, no, Dylan does that, then we'll have to expel him. But you're sitting here telling me it's okay for that kid to hit my child. But it's not okay for my child to defend himself and hit him back. The last meeting I had with the superintendent here in Galleon City Schools, like I said, they have a police officer that's on site there at all times. Well, the one that used to be there, Officer Sterling, but she's no longer with Galleon Police Force. And I went to say something to the superintendent, I don't remember what it was. And she looked at me and said, Miss Bates, you need to shut up and let them speak. Excuse me, I'm not allowed to ask questions about stuff that's going on with my child, and you're going to tell me to shut up and let them speak? Well, about that time, Dylan jumped up and started getting in the superintendent's face. And he's like, no, you're not going to motion for her to shut my mom up. My mom's here for me. My mom was asking a goddamn question. They took my kid out in handcuffs and shackles to the hospital to be evaluated because she asked him, she said, Dylan, are you on medication? And Dylan said, for depression? Yes. She said, are you suicidal? He said, not at this time, but I have been in the past. She instantly put my kid in handcuffs and shackles, put him in the back of the police cruiser, and took him up here to Galleon Community Hospital to be evaluated. We're sitting in the suicide room because when they come in, even before you see the doctor, they make you strip down out of all your clothes. You have to put on a special gown. There's not allowed to be nothing in the room with you. Right now, we have him on Wellbutrin, which is his Adderall, which is working awesome. Because Dylan is ADHD, and he does. Hello. Yeah, I guess. I don't know what was going on with my phone there. But yeah, Dylan's been through a ringer with Galleon City Schools. He has. I mean, from 3rd grade to 9th grade, that child was bullied horrible in Galleon City Schools. Once I got him away from Galleon, he's doing wonderful. My child is on the road to graduate. I got the paper the other day. They moved graduation. I think it's to 24th now. But May 24th, my child will be graduating. In the Tomorrow Center, I pay no school fees. They don't believe in that. They supply the child with everything they need. Like the paper that Dylan brought home to tell me when graduation's going to be. In that paper, it said, don't worry about, oh God, yes, I will cry. Not to worry about caps and gowns because they are going to furnish all that and the tassels for the seniors graduating. Like I said, this place, I love it. I love the Tomorrow Center. I could not boast anymore about a school. They have been awesome. Dylan. And like I said, when Dylan first started up there, he could barely read at an elementary level. My child couldn't count money. My child could barely do basic math because Galleon let those kids slide under the cracks. And they've got him. Dylan is actually taking calculus this year. Going from a child that could barely add and subtract to now taking calculus. And Guyan seen that there was nothing wrong. And I always asked him, what can I do to work with him at home to get him to where he need to be? Miss Bates, and I did, and you can ask Dylan. What Dylan did know is because I sat down and worked with him. Because they sure in the hell didn't. My child was in ninth grade, and do you know what one of a spelling word thing that they did for those kids was? The. What Dylan was doing in ninth grade was what most kids were doing in the elementary grades. McGuyan didn't care. Calculus is a math course that you can take. It's a very high advanced math course, but yes, it is a math course. But once we got Dylan out of the situation he was here in Guyan City Schools, once we seemed to get Dylan on the right medicine now, he's doing awesome. I mean, here for a while, there's a program through the school. You know, I know some of you may have seen streams that I did at night that I said, oh, I'm out here waiting for Dylan to get off work where he was working at Goodwill. Dylan was working at Goodwill. Well, now he's working up there at the school with them. But my child is holding down a job, which they told me he would never be able to do. My child is graduating, which honestly, if he had stayed in Galleon, he wouldn't have been. My child is not suicidal anymore. My child don't even talk about stuff like that anymore. Dylan is more like the old Dylan I had before he started getting bullied. I mean, Dylan will laugh and joke around, and he's a big cut-up. He's got that much of my dad in him. He's a big cut-up. He really is. Dylan's just a fun-loving kid again. And honestly, if I wouldn't have removed him from the Tomorrow Center, I don't think he would have been. Honestly, I think if he stayed in Galleon, he would have probably ended up finding a way to end himself. I mean, Isaac told me that day on the way to school, the whole reason that he even was going to do it at school, he said, was where I couldn't stop him. Because honestly, after the first hospitalization, which was before this time, he had been in the hospital twice before this, before that incident, he was going to do it because he knew I couldn't stop him there. And the first time he ever told me he was suicidal, it was in our old house. And I literally football tackled him in our kitchen to wrestle knives out of his hand. And at that time, his real dad was living in the downstairs part of my house. And you think Dan ever once tried to help me with any of that. His dad is a worthless piece of shit. The only thing he was good for is the sperm of Dylan. Yeah, and see, Rabbit, I don't think that the school should slide these kids through. It's your job to make sure that they know these basic curriculum to graduate. Then that is what you need to teach these kids, is that basic curriculum that they need. Today's math, the way that they do that shit with this new math, it's like 5 different sections that you got to get that you normally do to get one. I couldn't pass today's math test. Rabbit, we have. We really have. But it has also made us closer to. Because Dylan knows no matter what, I've got Dylan's back. And Mama will always be there for him. He was in 3rd grade when my mom died. And I'll never forget my dad's brother, Junior, that just passed away. And Mom was sick. Well, I was running a temperature and my throat was sore, so I didn't want to go up to the hospital and get her sicker than she already was. And so I told Dad, I said, Dad, there's no way I can go up to the hospital today. And at that time, Leo, the only dad Dylan really ever knew, which wasn't his real dad, but from 2 to 12, that was really the only dad Dylan ever knew, was my ex Leo. And so I said, but do you think Uncle Junior would take me to go pick Dylan up? Dad's like, I'm sure he will. Just give him a call. I'm like, okay. So I called Junior and I said, Dad's going up to the hospital with Mom, and Leo's working out of town and has the car. Is there any way when Dylan would get off school you could take me to pick him up? And Junior's like, yeah, what time? And I told him what time, and he came and got me and stuff so we could go pick. I was on the way to pick Dylan up from school when my dad called my cell phone and said, she's gone, Shauna. What? At first, it didn't even register what he was saying to me. I said, what do you mean? And he's like, Shauna, your mom's gone. Lila and I had went down to the cafeteria, and when we came back up the hall, we heard the machines going off, and Mom's gone. There's Dylan home. Alright, guys, well, I'm going to hop off here because Dylan's home. That way I can talk to him. I will see you.